A white officer shoves a pregnant woman down a flight of stairs in Harlem, 1952. He doesn't know her husband. 24 hours later, his wife, his children, and his mother are on their knees in front of Bumpy Johnson. Chapter 1. The Stairs. It's a Tuesday afternoon in September, 1952. The sun sits low over Lenox Avenue, casting long shadows across storefronts and brownstone steps. Mamie Johnson walks slowly out of Garcia's grocery with a bag of apples in one hand, the other resting on her stomach. 7 months. A boy, she thinks. Bumpy insists it's a boy. She moves carefully down the sidewalk. Pregnancy has made her cautious, deliberate. The neighborhood watches her the way it always does, not because she demands attention, but because of whose wife she is. People nod, step aside, offer to carry her bag. She smiles, declines politely, so he keeps walking. At the corner of 135th, a police cruiser pulls up too fast. The brakes hiss. 2 officers step out. One is older, graying at the temples, face carved by years of walking these streets. He knows who she is. The other is younger. New badge, new uniform, new to Harlem. He doesn't know anything yet. The rookie sees a black woman, pregnant, moving too slow on a crowded sidewalk. That's all he sees. "Move it along," he says, louder than necessary. Mamie glances at him, calm. "I'm moving." "Not fast enough?" The older officer touches the rookie's shoulder. "Leave it." The rookie shrugs him off. He steps closer to Mamie, close enough that she smells the coffee on his breath. "I said move." She meets his eyes. "I'm pregnant." "I don't care if you're the Queen of England. Move." There are people watching now. A dozen. Maybe more. The older officer knows what this is becoming. He steps back toward the cruiser. He wants no part of it. Mamie turns toward the stairs leading down to the train entrance. She takes one step, then another. The rookie is behind her, still talking, still crowding. She feels his hand on her shoulder. Not a touch, a shove. She falls. Not gracefully, not softly. Her body slams into concrete once, twice, tumbling down 12 steps before she stops at the bottom. The bag of apples bursts. Fruit rolls into the gutter. Blood pools beneath her dress. The street goes silent. The rookie stares down at her, his hand still raised. The older officer closes his eyes. Within 10 minutes, 3 phone calls are made. By the time the ambulance arrives, Bumpy Johnson already knows. Chapter 2. The silence that follows. Bumpy is in the back room of Junie's barbershop when the call comes. He's sitting across from an old Sicilian named Patron, chessboard between them, cigarette burning in the ashtray. The room smells like talcum powder and bay rum. Outside, clippers buzz. Men laugh. The world is ordinary. Junie steps in, quiet. Too quiet. He doesn't say anything, just leans down and whispers into Bumpy's ear. Bumpy's hand hovers over a bishop. He doesn't move it, doesn't blink. He sits there for 5 full seconds, statue still, while Patrone studies the board and waits for the next move. Then, Bumpy stands. He picks up his coat from the chair, folds it over his arm, and walks toward the door. No words, no expression. Patrone looks up, confused, then sees Junie's face and understands. No, he doesn't ask. No one asks. Bumpy steps out into the sunlight. Lenox Avenue is alive with afternoon traffic, cars honking, vendors shouting, children playing stickball in the street. But when Bumpy appears on the sidewalk, everything slows. Conversations stop mid-sentence. A woman holding a baby turns away. A man selling newspapers folds his stand and walks inside. They know. Word travels faster than Bumpy does. By the time he reaches the corner of 135th, shopkeepers are locking their doors. By the time he crosses Malcolm X Boulevard, the street vendors are gone. By the time he arrives at Harlem Hospital, there are no police cars outside. Inside, the hallway is fluorescent white and too bright. A nurse sees him coming and steps aside without a word. A doctor in a blood-stained coat approaches, starts to speak, then stops. Bumpy's eyes ask the question. The doctor shakes his head. Bumpy nods once. He walks into the room where Mamie lies, her face turned toward the window. She doesn't look at him. She doesn't cry. She just stares at the light coming through the glass, her hands folded over the flatness of her stomach. Bumpy sits beside her. He takes her hand. They stay like that for an hour, silent, still. When he finally stands to leave, he kisses her forehead, smooths her hair, and walks out without speaking. He steps into the hallway. Junie is there, waiting. 3 other men stand behind him. No one says a word. They don't need to. Bumpy buttons his coat. "Find him," he says quietly. Then he walks out into the Harlem evening, and the streets hold their breath. Hold. A silence from Bumpy Johnson has always meant one thing. Chapter 3. The officer's last normal day. Officer Dale Whitmore doesn't think about the stairs. Not when he climbs back into the cruiser. Not when his partner, Officer McKinley, drives them back to the precinct in silence. Not when he fills out the incident report and writes, "Suspect resisted verbal command," in neat block letters. He's 24 years old. 6 months on the job. He grew up in Staten Island, where his father was a fire captain and his uncle wore a badge for 30 years. He believes in order. He believes in authority. He believes that a uniform makes you untouchable. At the precinct, McKinley pulls him aside in the locker room. "You know who that was?" Whitmore shrugs. "Some woman blocking the sidewalk." McKinley stares at him. That was Mamie Johnson." The name means nothing to Whitmore. He tosses his cap into his locker, starts unbuttoning his shirt. "Bumpy Johnson's wife," McKinley says, quieter now. Whitmore stops. He's heard the name. Every cop has. But he's never seen the man. Never worked a case involving him. To Whitmore, Bumpy Johnson is a bedtime story cops tell rookies to scare them. A ghost from the old Harlem, a relic the department tolerates because he keeps the neighborhood calm. "So," Whitmore says. McKinley shakes his head and walks out. At home, Whitmore's wife makes meatloaf. His 2 daughters, 5 and 7, chase each other around the dining table, while his mother sets out plates. The apartment is small, 4th floor of a building in Queens, but it's theirs. His wife kisses his cheek. His mother asks about his day. He tells them it was fine. They eat dinner. His youngest spills milk. His oldest asks if she can stay up late. His mother talks about church on Sunday. Everything is ordinary. Everything is safe. After dinner, Whitmore sits in his armchair and reads the paper. His wife washes dishes. His daughters play jacks on the kitchen floor. The radio hums softly in the corner. Some jazz station his wife likes. At 9 o'clock, he kisses his daughters goodnight, tucks them into the bed they share, tells them a story about a brave policeman who catches robbers. They giggle and close their eyes. He undresses in the bedroom. His wife brushes her hair at the vanity. She asks if he's all right. He says yes. She asks if he's sure. He says he's tired, that's all. They lie down together in the dark. She rests her head on his chest. Then he stares at the ceiling, listening to the radiator clank, the neighbors above shifting furniture, the distant wail of a siren somewhere in the city. He doesn't think about the stairs. He doesn't think about Mamie Johnson. He falls asleep believing tomorrow will come the way it always does. It won't. Chapter 4. The knock. The knock comes at 3:17 a.m. Not loud, not frantic. 3 measured taps, calm and patient, like someone delivering a telegram. Whitmore wakes instantly. His wife stirs beside him, groggy. "Who is it?" He doesn't answer. He's already reaching for the nightstand, for the service revolver he keeps in the drawer. His hands are steady. He's been trained for this. Home invasions, break-ins, desperate men who think a cop's house is an easy target. He moves to the door in his undershirt and slacks, gun low at his side. And through the peephole, he sees 3 men in dark suits, well-dressed, clean-shaven, no masks, no weapons visible. They stand with their hands folded in front of them, like deacons waiting outside a church. Whitmore opens the door halfway, gun behind his back. "Can I help you?" The man in the center is older, maybe 50, with silver hair and a face that doesn't smile. He looks at Whitmore the way a jeweler looks at a counterfeit stone. "Officer Whitmore," the man says, not a question. "Who's asking?" "We're here on behalf of Mr. Johnson." Whitmore's throat tightens. He grips the revolver harder. "I don't know any Johnson." The man nods slowly, like a teacher watching a child lie. "Yes, you do." Behind Whitmore, his wife appears in the hallway, clutching her robe. "Dale, what's going on?" "Go back to bed," he says, then not looking at her. She doesn't move. The man in the suit glances past Whitmore into the apartment. His eyes settle on the hallway where the girl's bedroom door is cracked open. Then, he looks back at Whitmore. "We're not here to hurt anyone," he says quietly. "We're here to give you a choice. I'm a police officer. You threaten me, you threaten my family, You'll what?" The man's voice doesn't rise, it doesn't harden. It stays perfectly calm. "Call the precinct? Your captain already knows we're here. He's the one who gave us your address." Whitmore feels the floor tilt beneath him. The man continues. "You put your hands on Mamie Johnson yesterday. She lost her child because of you. Now, Mr. Johnson could have handled this a dozen different ways, but he's a reasonable man. So, he's offering you something rare." "What?" "A conversation." Whitmore's wife steps closer. "Dale, who are these people?" The man in the suit finally looks at her. His expression softens just slightly. "Ma'am, your husband made a mistake, a bad one. But Mr. Johnson is willing to let him explain himself, in person." "And if I don't come?" Whitmore asks. The man doesn't answer right away. He looks at Whitmore the way a surgeon looks at a patient before describing a procedure. "Then we leave," he says, "and tomorrow morning your captain will find your badge on his desk. Your wife will find eviction papers under the door. Your mother will find men waiting outside her building. Your daughters—" He stops, lets the silence finish the sentence. Whitmore's wife covers her mouth. The man checks his watch. Sunrise is at 6:14, and you have until then to bring your family to Mr. Johnson's residence. The address is 409 Edgecombe Avenue, apartment 5B. If you don't come, we won't come back. But Mr. Johnson will remember. He buttons his coat. You're a father, Officer Whitmore. So is he. He's giving you the chance to do this the right way. The three men turn and walk down the hallway, their footsteps soft on the worn carpet. The building is silent. No doors open. No neighbors peek out. It's as if the entire world has been evacuated, leaving only Whitmore and the choice in front of him. His wife grabs his arm. Dale, what did you do? He doesn't answer, because now, finally, he's thinking about the stairs. Chapter 5. The Begging. They arrive at 5:48 a.m. Whitmore, his wife clutching both daughters' hands, his mother trailing behind with a rosary wrapped around her knuckles. The building on Edgecombe Avenue is quiet, elegant, overlooking the Harlem River. The kind of place where doctors and judges live. Not gangsters, not criminals. That's the first thing Whitmore gets wrong. The door to apartment 5B is already open. One of the men from earlier stands in the doorway, gestures them inside without a word. The apartment is modest, clean, a piano in the corner, bookshelves filled with Baldwin and Ellison, framed photographs of Harlem streets. The morning light filters through lace curtains. Bumpy Johnson sits in a leather armchair near the window. He's wearing a dark suit, pressed and sharp. His hands rest on the armrests. He doesn't stand, doesn't greet them. His face is carved from stone, no anger, no rage, just an emptiness that's worse than either. Behind him, Mamie sits on the couch, her hands folded in her lap. She looks at Whitmore once, then looks away. Whitmore's wife starts to cry before anyone speaks. The man who let them in closes the door and stands beside it. The apartment is silent except for the ticking of a clock on the mantel. Bumpy's eyes move slowly from Whitmore to his family, lingering on the two girls who press themselves against their mother's sides. Then back to Whitmore. Kneel, Bumpy says. His voice is quiet, not a command, a fact. Whitmore doesn't move. His pride, his badge, his father's legacy, all of it holds him upright for 5 long seconds. Then, his mother drops to her knees first, rosary shaking in her hands, and begins to pray in a whisper. His wife follows, pulling the girls down with her. Kia Whitmore is the last. He lowers himself slowly, his knees hitting the hardwood, and the sound echoes in the room like a gavel. Bumpy lets them stay there. 10 seconds, 20. He doesn't speak. He just watches. Whitmore's mother looks up, tears streaming down her face. Please, sir. He's a good boy. He made a mistake. He's young. He didn't know. He knew, Bumpy says. She shakes her head, desperate. He didn't. Please. He has children. Little girls? They need their father. Please don't. I had a son, Bumpy interrupts, his voice barely louder than a breath. I was going to name him Ellsworth. After me. The room goes colder. Whitmore's wife sobs. His daughters cling to her. His mother's prayers become incoherent, just fragments of Hail Marys and desperate pleas. Bumpy leans forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on Whitmore. You pushed my wife down a flight of stairs because she wasn't moving fast enough for you, he says. You did that because you thought your badge made you untouchable. You thought Harlem was yours to control. Whitmore's voice cracks. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. I know, please. Tell me what you want, anything. Bumpy leans back. He glances at Mamie. She doesn't look at him, doesn't nod, doesn't speak. But something passes between them. He turns back to Whitmore. You're going to resign, Bumpy says. Today. You're going to leave New York. You're going to take your family somewhere far from here, and you're never going to wear a badge again. You're going to spend the rest of your life remembering that a black woman's life is worth more than your authority. Whitmore nods, frantic. Yes, I will. I swear. And one more thing. Bumpy stands. He walks slowly across the room until he's standing directly over Whitmore. He leans down, close enough that Whitmore can smell the faint scent of cologne and coffee. Every year, on September 17th, you're going to send flowers to my wife. You're going to do that until the day you die. And if you miss even 1 year, I'll find you. He straightens. Now, get out of my house. Chapter 6. Aftermath. Whitmore resigns at 9 a.m. that same morning. He walks into the precinct with his family still in the car outside, places his badge and gun on Captain Riley's desk, and says nothing. Riley doesn't ask questions. He just nods, slides the badge into a drawer, and looks away. By noon, the Whitmore family is packing. By evening, they're gone. They move to a town in upstate Pennsylvania where nobody knows the name Bumpy Johnson. Whitmore takes a job at a lumber mill. His daughters grow up believing their father left the force because he wanted a quieter life. His wife never tells them the truth. His mother dies 3 years later, rosary still in her hand. Every September 17th, a bouquet arrives at 409 Edgecombe Avenue. White lilies, no card. Mamie places them in a vase by the window and says nothing. In Harlem, the story spreads, not loudly, not in newspapers, but in barber shops and church basements, on stoops and in pool halls. People whisper about the cop who pushed Mamie Johnson and the family that begged on their knees. The police don't talk about it, but they remember. And rookies who come to Harlem after 1952 are given one warning by the older officers. There are people in this neighborhood you don't touch. There are lines you don't cross. There are names you don't forget. Bumpy never speaks of it. Not to his associates, not to his wife, not to anyone. But every cop who walks Lenox Avenue after that day understands something fundamental. A badge is permission, not protection. Authority is borrowed. Respect is earned. And in Harlem, there was only ever one king.